Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the January 2018 Humble Brag. I know it's already March, but honestly, what would a Jonathan is bad at games New Year be without starting 2 months behind? Listen, I'm trying, alright? This month's bundle was in support of Charity Water, a nonprofit organization through which 100% of their public donations help to provide safe, clean water to people in developing countries. Be sure to check out the link in the description below, and if it's within your means, consider lending a helping hand. Now, without further ado, let's get to the review. Kicking things off with price, you'll be unsurprised to learn that $12 is the absolute cheapest you can get all of these games. The alternative, of course, ranging from somewhere between $199.92 and $59.98 depending on how many of them are on sale at the time. I'm cutting out my personal price-related opinions because you know what? I don't know a goddamn thing about pricing games. I'm pampered by Steam sales and biased as all hell. Besides, I'll already be discussing its subjective counterpart value, so it's kind of redundant and ultimately unnecessary. Anyway, moving on. The games in this month's bundle were Quantum Break, The Long Dark, Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 3, Tomb Raider, Sleeping Dogs, Hiveswap Act 1, Mr. Shifty, and Cursed Castilla. And just by looking at the three frontrunners, you can already see how bulky the bundle truly is. There was a lot to chew through this time around, but let's see if we can't work through it, shall we? Quantum Break was a fantastic way to start the bundle off. It boasted an intriguing story, spectacular visuals, a decently sized campaign, and a fair bit of combat. But what really made the game special was its weaving of storytelling genres in a unique and deeply entertaining way. Though the differences were subtle, being able to change the course of the game and a television show through your choices is a ridiculously novel idea, and though many aspects of the game were flawed, it truly offers an unparalleled experience. For these reasons, it earns the bundle a perfect 10 in value. The Long Dark was another great pick, which is saying something if you know about my notorious and deep-rooted dislike of survival sandbox games. Unlike most games typical of the genre, this one is unforgiving and bleak with an emphasis on single-player survival and of battling the elements and scrounging for supplies. Rather than being able to do anything yourself, you're forced by the external forces of weather and time to make use of what's around you. Not only that, but it has an actual story mode, though it's not quite finished, with compelling characters, and it manages to successfully utilize its core gameplay to move that story forward. It's the best execution of a survival sandbox yet, and that's saying something. It's been a while since we've seen one in the bundle, so I'll let it slide this time and say that it earns a 9 in value. Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 3 offers the bundle a multiplayer experience that might scratch the strategy itch for some players out there, save for one glaring issue. It simply doesn't have a dedicated player base. While there's a relatively entertaining single-player campaign, its main draw is meant to be the competitive aspect, but the player counts are just low. Mostly because it can't reconcile its changes to the formula with its established fans of the series. And it's not like the new players are going to hang around just because, so unfortunately, while there might have been some promise, it's going to have to take a pretty massive hit in value. I'd say around 3 out of 10 should be fitting. Tomb Raider is an excellent title that has some unfortunately odd timing issues. For starters, it's coming a few months after its sequel, which is strange for a few reasons. The first being that we've already done the Tomb Raider thing now, which kinda gives it a samey feel. Not to mention the fact that it could have been included in a bundle before the sequel, which would have generated hype for the bundle with the sequel as its frontrunner. It just feels wrong. And then there's the fact that it's been grouped up with so many other games that boast a robust story with action mechanics. It certainly isn't a bad game, but a lot of its power has been lost from the lack of emphasis. When it comes to the bundle value, this one earns a 7. Then we have Sleeping Dogs, which didn't really impress me beyond its story, which was an admittedly fantastic take on morality from a new perspective. The gameplay, however, didn't really wow me. And there was plenty of action, open world shenanigans, and collectibles in other games in the bundle, so it didn't really bring anything refreshing to the table. It did, however, come with DLC, which gives it a bit of a boost. Ultimately, I'd say it rests at about a 5 out of 10. Hiveswap Act 1 is the resident breath of fresh air in the bunch, breaking up the gritty, action-packed scenery long enough to offer something fun and humorous. Its issues are that the story isn't finished yet, being an episodic point-and-click adventure game, and that it takes place in the same universe as Homestuck, which has a bit of a stigma. If you can overlook that, however, it's bound to offer you a great time. The humor's on point and much needed. For these reasons, it earns the bundle a 7 out of 10. Mr. Shifty, although action-oriented, offers a brand of action far removed from everything else thus far. The levels are quick and rely entirely on flawless execution of skill to pull off. Well, maybe not flawless in the traditional sense of the word, but you can't get hit or you have to restart. Its tone is also lighthearted, which complements the rapid action and simple yet rigorous mechanics incredibly well, helping tilt the scales back towards a balanced bundle. Though it's lacking in replayability once you power through it, it nets the bundle a 7 out of 10. Finally, we arrive at Cursed Castilla, which also mixes the tone up considerably with a nostalgic romp through a cursed world. It's also got quick, challenging gameplay and is relatively short, but its control scheme is a lot more similar to childhood console games. That gives it an entirely different vibe and breaks up the monotony even more. For these reasons, it earns an 8 out of 10 in value. That places our value for the bundle at 7 out of 10, which isn't bad, but perhaps more important than the game selection is the actual quality of the games that have been selected. So we'll factor in the gameplay score average, which is 8.13, which brings us to the grand total of 7.56 out of 10, or around a B. The games felt a little redundant, but their quality generally made up for it. Ultimately, a bundle of decent quality. Also included in the bundle was a mysterious game in which you take the passenger seat of a stranger's car, HithHiker. It's an interesting one psychologically, and it was a treat to play and experience. Strangely, it's an episodic game that has not yet been completed, so on the one hand that makes it one of the first humble originals with longevity, but on the other, incomplete experiences have been a recurring theme this month. The games up for grabs this month are Tomb Raider and any other title of your choosing from the core bunch. All you have to do to enter is read the rules in the description below and tell me down in the comments, how has your new year been going thus far? Anything you're looking forward to? More videos from me, I hope. If so, be sure to subscribe to be updated on my releases and dingle my bell or whatever it is you kids do these days. And of course, like and share to show your support, or dislike and tell me what I can do to improve. Until next time, remember that failure is not the worst case scenario to glow on with your bad selves, and stay awesome.